Heian Sandan is the third basic kata in the Heian series. It teaches basic movements and stances with more complex transitions from one movement to the next. Heian Sandan uses three stances: back stance, front stance, and side stance. It has several techniques, including outward block, double block, reinforced outward block, spear hand thrust, hammer hand, open hand block, stepping punch, over the shoulder punch, and elbow strike. There are 6 turns in this kata. In each turn, the student should turn backwards with the shoulder and leg on that side moving first. The student will need to turn the head quickly in order to see where they are going and where the next technique will stop. The turns in this kata are 2 turns for 90 degrees and 4 turns for 180 degrees. There are 2 kiais in this kata, and this kata has 20 movements. The pattern or imbusen for this kata follows a capital T. Let's take a look at this kata at normal speed. As you watch, look for the different techniques and how the stances are used, and also look for the turns and transitions.
Heian Sandan.
Now let's look at the kata in slow motion. Keep an eye out for those changes, transitions, and those more complex techniques. Let's take a look at the first 6 movements of Heian Sandan. It starts with a back stance and outward block, and then you shift into the double crossing blocks. From that point, you transition across to another outward block, and then you move to the next set of crossing blocks. Let's look at the same 6 movements in slow motion now. The next 5 movements show a transition through all 3 stances: back stance, front stance, and side stance. Let's look at the same 5 movements in slow motion. Watch for those stance transitions. The next 6 movements illustrate 3 separate sets of techniques. Each set is a stomp into side stance with a hammer hand. Let's take a look at these same sets of techniques again. Keep an eye on these stomps into side stance and the hammer hand transitions. The last four movements of the kata illustrate an open hand block or grab, a stepping punch, and then a complete spin into an over-the-shoulder punch followed by an elbow, and then shifting across and using the same techniques on the opposite side. Let's look at those last four techniques in slow motion again. Keep an eye on those spin transitions into side stance and then the shifting transition to the opposite side. Let's take one last look at Heian Sandan in regular speed. Keep an eye on the transitions and the complex techniques, and watch for those shifts at the end.
Heian Sandan.